सर जी इधर देखिए, हाँ
यहाँ पे सर यहाँ सर यहाँ सर सही है सर प्रेम सर एक मिनट मैम सर यहाँ पे सर मैम यहाँ पे सही है सर अमीर सर ये सर सेंटर सर सही है सर सही है ये अमीर सर ये इमरान सर अमीर सर लास्ट कॉर्नर अमीर सर लास्ट कॉर्नर अमीर सर एक फुट अमीर सर थैंक यू
सर एक साथ में
चला आरामत
टेंशन मत लीजिए। अच्छा राजेश, हाँ नहीं कोई बात नहीं, राजेश आई एम कमिंग 1 सेकंड
विनोद क्या कर रहे हो पिक्चर में, क्या कर रहे हो पिक्चर? सोनू प्लीज
बस नहीं सर बराबर आइए मैम को साथ में, मैम को सर लुक सर सामने लुक इन वन प्लीज सर हियर लुक सेंटर हियर एक मैम के साथ बैक ड्रॉप मैम की आपका चलेगा मैम, इधर देख लीजिए तो उसके अंदर बाहर नहीं दिख रहा
मैम सेंटर
मैम हाँ एक मैडम एकदम सामने, मैडम एकदम सामने, मैडम जी इधर से चल के
यार सामने मैम सामने
या मैडम एकदम सामने, एक्सक्यूज मी मैम एकदम सामने मैडम जी, एक्सक्यूज मी मैम, एक्सक्यूज मी मैम बहुत यहाँ पे मैम इधर टर्न लीजिए ना थोड़ा, मैडम एकदम सामने या थैंक यू
एक्सक्यूज मी
नीरज जी एक आपका सोलो दीजिए।
Yeah, ma'am. Excuse me. One second. Yeah, ma'am. Excuse me.
Excuse me, ma'am. One. सर वन ग्रुप पिक्चर आइए मैम एक साथ बैठिए सब लोग उधर जगह किधर रहेगा मैम हाँ या सर इधर देखिए या नेक्स्ट आइए साथ में सर सर कौन लगेगा अच्छा हाँ चले आप दोनों थैंक यू सर आप भी आइए
Not just let us just tell you everything there is to know, especially as Akshay has spent so long researching. I think I'm going to start with Akshay because he's been working so hard. What was the situation? You just woke up one morning and said, Nasir Hussain? How did it work?
Coming together of great cinematic personalities. It's not just, there's this thing about cinema that, even we film critics or people who write on films sometimes are guilty of, that there's this lionizing that happens, that, this film belongs to this personality or this film belongs to this personality. But I think Teesri Manzil is a very good example. The cameo performances that are there. I mean, K.N. Singh, for example, or Rashid Khan.
Mention Iftikhar also.
Iftikhar also. And Helen G, her performance in that song, Vijay Anand, Nasir Hussain. See, Vijay Anand, Nasir Hussain, both the Navketan and Nasir Hussain films, that modern style, the urban spaces, these are those filmmakers. They're not like Mehboob Khan and...
It's not a band that most people listen to, And my dad had bought that cassette. And so he introduced me to it actually. Pink Floyd, he had brought when on his London trip, And there were many such albums which actually got...
So he had a turntable in his car. Like now earlier we used to have cassette players. And then now we have whatever CD players and now we have just Bluetooth or whatever. But at that time, turntables like records. To have a record player in a car which bumps around and all that is very rare. So he used to have a turntable in his car.
Fantastic, because, how did he keep it steady?
There
were some good technicals.
There was some heavy duty, what is it called? Suspension that was done, yeah. Sometimes the songs used to bounce.
Just kind of hop a little bit. And you mean he didn't listen to filmy music, Hindi film songs?
No.
Yeah,
it was always Western music.
It was always...
Interesting.
I just want to add over here that, this was a question I asked all three of them when I was researching for the book, that what was the music that he was listening to, and they said this, that it was essentially Western, and Nusrat said, Top of the Pops, and,
Beatles,
Elvis Presley. But Amir also made one very good point over there. He said, yes, Western music is fine, but Chachajan had a knack for a popular tune. He knew ये गाना hit होने वाला है. So it's not just
He would do this. He did that, the tune was rejected. Ugly. So I knew it's gone. You know. So these were little idiosyncrasies which I imbibed, and only later when I never thought I'd make films, but only much later did I realize how much of an intuitive tune sense he had. You know, and it was not because he played the piano or the guitar or knew notation. It was just an inbuilt judgment of what is a good tune.
You are obviously a film family now, and 3 generations. Can you tell me, I believe your father, I have to give a little aside here, I think...
Are you okay?
I think it's a little bit of a rocky chair. Anyway, I think you should. I think it's okay. So basically, Nasir Saab said to me, he was very reluctant to speak. To be honest, he was very reluctant to speak. But then Mansoor left. I don't know if Nusrat was there that day.
No, I wasn't there. Amir was there.
Nusrat was not there.
In fact, before you came in, I had
Yes.
tried very hard to do this, to interview him. You know, I kind of followed him around with a a dictaphone for a couple of days. He refused.
Yes.
It's 2001.
Yeah. So no, I was very keen because see, he had told me so many stories about his life, you know. So I felt that should be recorded somewhere, you know, by someone. For example, I was an assistant with him for 4 years, so I spent a lot of time with him at that time. So when we would drive from Carter Road, then he would point out the house that he used to live in as a paying guest when he first came to Bombay. And he would tell me that, you know, I had no money. So I used to eat boiled eggs because that is the cheapest thing. So he would buy 2 boiled eggs and just boil them and eat them. So for the first, the first few months that he was here, when he came, he didn't know anyone. He was, the family was also quite upset with him that he was planning to join films. So the few family members who were in Bombay were not very happy with the fact that Nasir Saab was wanting to be in the films. And I remember him telling me that the family was so upset that they actually told Maulana Saab, Maulana Azad, who's my great-grand uncle, and Nasir Saab was made to go and meet him so that Maulana Saab could put some sense into him. कि भाई इसको समझाओ ये फिल्मों में जाना चाह रहा है. And in the entire family it was Maulana Saab, Maulana Azad, who said to Chachajan ke just don't listen to anyone. You do what you feel like doing. So I had heard so many stories from him. In fact, we were talking about Teesri Manzil. Teesri Manzil there's some amazing, unbelievable stories about Teesri Manzil. I should share this one. Teesri Manzil actually, originally Goldie Uncle was not directing. And Shami Uncle was not in the film originally. It was Dev Saab who was playing the lead. And Nasir Saab was directing it. He had the story, screenplay, dialogue written by Nasir Saab, and he was going to direct it. And Goldie Uncle was directing a film called Bharo Ke Sapne for NH Films. Bharo Ke Sapne was a script that Nasir Saab had written during his college days and about the educated unemployed. It's a very offbeat kind of a film. And Goldie Uncle was making Bharo Ke Sapne with Rajesh Khanna and Asha Ji. And Teesri Manzil was, Dev Saab and Asha Aunty. And Nasir Saab was directing that, Goldie Uncle was directing this. So apparently one day Dev Saab, I think, said something. And it was at Bhalla Bungalow. If you know where Bhalla Bungalow is on Pali Hill, which now there's a Sandhu building coming up over there. There used to be Bhalla's bungalow over there, and there was a huge film party where Sadhna ji was getting engaged to Nair Saab. So the entire industry was there and all that. And that night at the engagement party, Nasir Saab and Dev Saab came to blows. They were a little high also. And so they came to blows actually. Because apparently Nasir Saab overheard him saying that नासिर जो है वो मेरे साथ बड़ी फिल्म बना रहा है, कलर फिल्म है, और गोल्डी को उसने कोई ब्लैक एंड वाइट फिल्म दे दी है, कोई नया लड़का है राजेश करके उसके साथ बना रहा है. तो नासिर वर वेरी अपसेट एंड उनका कुछ लफड़ा हो गया. अच्छा, आई हैव चेक दिस विद साधना जी आल्सो. I asked her, I said, did it happen? She said, yeah. So they had to be pulled apart and all. And I can never imagine Nasir Saab trying to hit someone. And for that matter, I can't imagine Dev Saab also trying to hit someone. They're both such gentle souls and so sophisticated. But khair, hota hai. So the next day, apparently Nasir Saab called Goldie uncle to the office and said, your brother is saying this. So now you're going to direct Tisri Manzil and I'm going to direct Bharo Ke Sapne. But Dev is not in Tisri Manzil. And then he called up Shammi uncle. And I had checked this with Shammi uncle also. He called up Shammi uncle. And because before that, they had had a bit of an altercation, Shammi uncle and Nasir. And that's how they got back together, Shammi uncle and Nasir Saab. And that's how this film was finally made with Shammi uncle in it instead of Dev Saab, who was originally there. And Goldie uncle directing it and Nasir Saab directing Bharo Ke Sapne. So he had told me so many stories and I thought it's very interesting to know, ये film हम देखते हैं उसके पीछे क्या हुआ था, क्या हुआ था उसके पीछे. So I was very keen that it should be recorded somewhere,
And that was something invaluable that happened because had you not goaded Nasreen to do this, my first reference point for my research was that interview, which you urged her to do it, and then they were kind enough to pass on that audio file to me. And there are such nuggets about his early life, his early years, and the fact there's this one joke which is there. This is how actually the book also begins. That someone asked him, this was in class 10 matriculation examination. He says ki some intelligent soul in the class who was apparently also named Mansoor asked the headmaster ki headmaster ji ye kitne log pass ho jayenge. So the headmaster looked around the class and he said ki agar Nasir Saab was not a very good student, he was very very bad student. He said ki agar Nasir pass ho gaya to sab pass ho jayenge. And Nasir Saab apparently passed with 33% marks. So he went, and this is all on that audio file, and he says, "Pata nahi kya gul khilaya tumne aur pass ho gaye." So the point is that this is very important for journalists who set out to archiving is very important, and I owe so much of this book to that interview because it really provided so many insights about his childhood, some things which even Mansoor, Nusrat or Amir would not be able to tell me. His early years, his formative years.
It's absolutely true that now when people look back and see that so many films are so beautifully made and are really intriguing to know how they were done, why they were done, and those people are not with us to ask very specific questions. And I think it's very important that Akshay is actually doing this book so that you can actually know something, and something is recorded, because we hope that not just now, but 20 years down the line, 40 years down the line, the Tisri Manzil will still be celebrated. Now, going back to Nasir Saab's family, why did his family not approve of him joining films? Do you know why?
I guess at that time almost everyone felt कि यार film में जो है वो it's not a good place to be. So most families at that time would react. I mean, even at my time, they were my own family. Nasir Saab and Abbajan were telling me, Chachajan, Abbajan, कि नहीं filmों में मत आओ. They were both filmmakers. They're telling me not to be in films.
That's how.
But I think for actually in my case the reason was different. In my case the reason was that Chachajan and Abbajan both knew, even Chachijan and Ammi, they all felt that it's such a volatile profession. One minute you're up there, the next minute you're not. You have no certainty, no security, So they wanted us to be more stable in life. Go into a profession which is more stable: engineer, doctor, chartered accountant. In any case, I would never have managed to do any of those three things. But उनके मन में ये बात थी कि कोई अच्छा professional management कर लो, ये कर लो. Don't get into film because they didn't want us, I think, to go through the uncertainties and the trauma of the volatile business that we are in. So they were trying to be protective actually. But in his case, I think when he was coming here, it was more कि नाक कटा, हाँ shame था, नाक कट जाएगी यार फिल्मों में.
It wasn't an honorable profession.
Yes, but now it's become a little too honorable, I think. I would also ask you that now. Both, I think, Mansoor for a while and Amir, of course, worked as his assistant. And I would like to know whether he was a very different man on set from what he was at home.
Not in my experience. The only thing new I learnt about him because I had spent all my life with him. And the first time I started working with him, I found he's as relaxed. He had a fantastic sense of humor. Shashank had a fantastic sense. So always cracking jokes, seeing the humor in everything. And on set, the atmosphere used to be very relaxed. There used to be no stress and tension. Ki log chilla rahe hain, ye ho raha hai, wo ho raha hai, you know. It used to be a very relaxed atmosphere. The only thing I noticed which was different, which I felt for the first time, is that he's got amazing leadership qualities. So when he's on set, he's like a tiger. Yeah. He's got amazing, leadership qualities. People love him, and they love to follow him, and they trust him. So his entire team was very trusting of him, and he was a great leader. I think other than that, it was very similar for me, whether he's at work or at home. Yeah.
Was he very decisive?
Yes, he was very decisive, and he was very clear what he wanted. And when I say leadership qualities, it's not just being decisive; it's also being able to command. And you don't have to shout to command, but being able to lead the entire team, because filmmaking is all about that. And he was a naturally good leader, actually.
And Mansoor, do you think in his work, did he ever see his work as making compromises?
No, not at all. In fact, that extends with what Amir was saying about being decisive. For Karwa, they actually very rarely did my dad put his finger on a wrong tune, and they actually recorded and shot a full song for Karwa, and I could see that throughout he was not happy. I remember this vaguely, and he came back after it was shot and everybody saw it, and he said, "I'm throwing this out." So he's very decisive, and so he wouldn't compromise. Now they shot the whole song, and that is Charti Javani. That is the final song. That is the situation, sorry. So he went back to Panchamangal, and now Panchamangal had to outdo that. So it was something in the tune, but he didn't want to tell him that. But the tune didn't, so he didn't compromise at all. He reshot the whole thing, a new song.
And Akshay, when you started working on his films, do you
Let
see...
me give you one more example of his uncompromising nature. There was a film called Zabardast, which eventually got made later on. But when it was first announced, it was not Mushir Riaz who was producing. It was Nasir Saab who was producing. And the cast was Dilip Kumar, Dharmendra, Rishi Uncle, and Raj Kiran. And there was Asha Aunty, there was an actress from the south, I think Sharda.
Yes, you mentioned Sharda.
And then there was Zeenat Aman, there was Neetu Ji. So it was like a star-studded, film. And this was immediately after he had made Yadon Ki Barat, Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi. And now it was Zabardast. It was huge. I mean, that announcement was like, there's an earthquake coming. Like that. It was big. And Yusuf Saab was, Dilip Kumar was acting after some time. He shot 4 reels of that film. And he was not happy about something. So he shelved the film. Now that was a big step for him to do, which is just another example of him not being, not wanting to compromise. So when he was not happy, he decided not to make the film.
But also one must say that people who produce their own films have this luxury.
Well, it's not that. It's an attitude. You see, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have. What matters is your attitude. And I think in his attitude, he was very clear that he didn't want to compromise on anything.
Can I just taking off from something from what Mansoor said about, he mentioned Karwa and then Amir mentioned Zabardast, which the announcement is made. I think you also gave me a figure 1.25 CR at that time minimum guarantee, which was like huge. Now this film is announced after Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi, which is a 77 release. It's a big blockbuster hit, Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi. And see, this is the thing again that we have taken a certain one-dimensional account of decades. So 50s, we look at Nehruvian socialism and nation-building narratives, and we celebrate the cinema of insights that I've given in the book. That if you look at the decade of the 70s, which is essentially, we remember it as Mr. Bachchan's decade, and the Salim Javed, giving shape to this angry young man persona. All the great directors of Hindi cinema who debut around 57, whether it's Raj Khosla in 55, whether it's Vijay Anand in 57, whether it is Yash Chopra in 59, with Dhul Ka Phool, Manmohan Desai, there's Pramod Chakravarti, all of them go to when they come into...
Amir was a brilliant assistant. And I was like, I think yehi kahani Jojita mein bhi hai, one good son and one bad. So that's where it comes from. So Amar is the good son and
Ah.
the bad son. But really, but that's the thing. Actually, my dad didn't give me any advice. But somehow I felt that
Bombay IIT. तो engineering पढ़ रहा है. तो whenever anyone used to ask Mansoor, कि यार you're becoming an engineer, this that, he went to IIT, then he went to MIT. Chajan would always say, इनको जो करना है करने दो, घूम फिर के इनको यहीं आना. He can go where he wants, ultimately वो यहीं आएगा. And that's exactly what happened actually. He used to
when
say
I was
that.
leaving for US, Daddy asked me कि मैंने यहाँ दुकान खोल के रखी. So that was actually his ground principle. I mean, you can say all this stuff, but if you enjoy the film, that's.
Actually, his films, as a kid when I was to watch his films, I remember in Cheshire films, I used to feel I'm on a picnic. It's nice, हम लोग outdoor में जा रहे हैं, अच्छे गाने वाले हैं, handsome looking people. There's romance, there's comedy. He's constantly making you laugh. It was like his film used to be like a breezy summer holiday, a breezy picnic. All his films had that quality, and they were very modern films. I mean, in his films, the female characters were very modern. Surprisingly so. I mean, at that time it was very unusual to see that Zeenat Aman is having a wine glass in her hand and all of that. It was his smoking. His female characters were very modern, and so that was amazing to see.
And if I can add over here, that song
Extraordinary.
He directed his first
And,
film.
very. I mean, Guru Dutt was 27, so later, but still, they were very young.
Yeah.
And they had a very kind of romantic idea of life. Was he a romantic?
I'd say he was. He wasn't the kind of guy to write poetry or flowers for his wife or anything like that. But I was just thinking, I was looking at these 3 months again, I have to say, and I was pointing out to myself a lot of the things written into Shami Uncle's character, which seemed to me so much my dad.
Give us some examples.
I'm trying to remember the scene. Some of even the mannerisms or the way, no, never,
The attitude.
the attitude. That I mean, Dad used to talk like that. So I'm not sure how this came about. Did he write it in? Is this something because Shami Uncle and he were such good friends that he picked it up unconsciously? I'm not sure, or who picked it up from who. But he was always a very. I saw him as a very passionate man.
Between Shami Kapoor and Nasir Saab, obviously, you as an actor will know that. Are you always acting to please the director? And was that the case?
Am I always acting to please him?
In other words, you've got to have a mirror somewhere.
No, I'm definitely acting to please a director. Because, I believe the filmmaking is one man's vision, and that is the director. The director is narrating the film, and if I'm not able to satisfy him or do what he wants, then, that's my main goal. Regarding Cheshire and Shami Uncle, Shami Uncle in the start of his career had done, I think, 7-8 films which had not done very well. He was playing characters which were very tragic, and So the Shami Uncle that we grew up knowing, I discovered later was actually in Tumsa Nahi Dekha, the character that Shami Uncle plays. So that's the character that Nasir Saab wrote actually for Dev Saab, because Dev Saab is whom he had offered the film to, because he had done Paying Guest, he had done Muneem Ji, and let me go slightly back. So when Nasir Saab first came to Bombay, he was a struggling writer. For very long, he used to ghostwrite. So there were very popular writers who had more work than they could handle, so they would give their work to, people like Chejan, who was, struggling writer. He needed the money, so he would do ghostwriting. So he would write but not get the credit for the scenes and for the films. And then slowly his talent started getting recognized, and he, got to work individually as himself. And he wrote dialogues for Paying Guest, Muneem Ji, etc. And then finally he wrote the script of Tumsa Nahi Dekha. And he told the producer that, I think it was Tolaram Jalan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
He told Tolaram ji कि ये कहानी जो मैंने लिखी है, ये मैं आपको तभी दूंगा जब आप मुझे डायरेक्ट करने दें. So I want to direct now. And that's how Tumsa Nahi Dekha he got to direct. And he got to direct, मतलब Tulram Jalan finally grudgingly said, "ठीक है यार, अभी script अच्छी है and I want the script, so I'll allow you to direct." But apparently he got a really shoestring budget and he told me कि मुझे outdoor के लिए 3 दिन मिले थे. Tulram Jalan से तुमको मैं 3 दिन दे रहा हूँ outdoor के लिए. And outdoor कहाँ? Gorbanda Road. Gorbanda Road, which is not this linking road, Gorbanda Road. Slightly ahead, there's another Gorbanda Road. So that was slightly out of Mumbai. That's where he got the outdoor. कि हाँ outdoor Gorbanda Road पे करके हो. So somehow he used to manage and make the film, and that character that we know of Shammi Uncle, which is the image that we carry in our heads of Shammi Uncle, which is a debonair, charming guy, is actually the image that Nasir Sahab had written, which really became hand in glove with Shammi Uncle's personality. And for the first time, Shammi Uncle actually performed in that way. And I remember Chacharan Chichian telling me that when Tumsa Nahi Dekha finally released, one of the things I remember is that when he shot that song, Tumsa Nahi Dekha, that one, apparently he had used a lot of cuts, And at that time, films were not cut so fast. So at the end of the song, he's gone into multiple cuts and small cuts of 12 frames. And so when Tulram Jalan saw the edit, he was like, "Are you mad? What is chakkar aa raha hai yaar? Mujhe to main dekh nahi pa raha hu. Itne cuts tumne dal diye hain." So the editor and Tulram Jalan were both very keen that song should be cut differently. But Chacharan said, no, this, I don't want you to touch this. And he stuck to his guns. And when the film was about to release, Tulram Jalan was like, anyway, this film is gone. Because Shammi Uncle had not had any successes until then. And I think Nas was a theatre where the premiere
Nas
was.
Cinema.
Nas Cinema. And I remember they had a premiere on the day of the release. So if it was a Friday evening was a special show when the tickets were sold in the stall. And the invitees were in the balcony. And when the film began, Shammi Uncle and Geeta Auntie and Chacharan Chichian had come together in Shammi Uncle's car. And they had come to the show and he said that we sat in the balcony and the film began. And suddenly there were noises from the stall which were coming. And Shammi Uncle kept asking Chacharan, "Are they booing the film? Are they booing the film?" Because he was so used to his films not being liked. He couldn't understand कि उनको अच्छी लग रही बुरी लग रही है किस चक्कर क्या. So Chacharan was saying, "नहीं, they're clapping, they're enjoying the film." So he couldn't believe it. He kept asking Chacharan, "Nasir, ये हंस रहे हैं कि रो रहे हैं? मतलब क्या हो रहा है?" And the film was very loved, and that first show itself became huge. And Chacharan says that day, Shammi Uncle, from being someone who until then had not really become successful, that day he became a star. Because Chacharan said, when I came out of the theatre, I couldn't find Shammi anywhere. And Chachian and him had to go home in a tanga because they had come with Shammi Uncle in the car. So he said कि वो तो इतना mob हो गया, वो पता नहीं यहाँ से वहाँ सब, he was out of, he couldn't even reach him. And as usual, the writers and directors are unrecognized. So उनको धक्के वक्के पड़े. Finally, it was his first film. No one knew who he was also. So he said कि Chachian and I were happy कि चलो लोगों को film पसंद आ रही है. They got into a tanga and then they went.
How lovely.
Yeah.
How lovely to have grown up and knowing all this. I think I'm envious of you. But I wanted to say something about the writing that Nasir Sahab had in terms of Devanand and Paying Guest and so on were very playful characters, especially Paying Guest. And it seemed that the marriage of this playfulness, which is in words, went into the physicality of the playfulness, which is Shammi Kapoor.
Yeah.
So he got, when people talk, here there must be people very interested.
Big music director, he was probably just starting off. So how did this collaboration or how did this relationship
I don't know if everyone can hear, but basically he's asked about the relationship between Nasir Sahab and R.D. Burman.
How did it come about? And because Teesri Manzil was when Panchamangal was starting out.
Yeah.
Actually, I only remember one incident from that, and because I was too small at that time. Was I born at that time? 67? No, I wasn't born. 65. Sorry, 65 I was born. Yeah. So I was about 2 years old. But I heard about this incident. Chacharan and Chichian had told me about this. That when Shammi Uncle came into the film, after that entire drama that happened, Shammi Uncle came back into the film. Nasir,
You have to say what the drama was. Some people may not.
drama हुआ ना. Dev Saab was in the film earlier. फिर Dev Saab वो drama. So when finally Shammi Uncle was came into the film, the first thing Chacharan told him, because Shammi Uncle was very particular about music. He was very particular कि यार मेरी film में music कौन दे रहा है, music कैसा है, how are the songs. So Shammi uncle asked him कि ये कौन नया लड़का है, R.D. Burman कौन है, and all that. तो Shashank said, आप उसके गाने सुनो. He's made some amazing songs. So of course Shammi uncle also trusted Shashank's judgment on music. But there was a session held at Pali. That's the house we call Pali actually. Where Pancham uncle had come with the harmonium and his entire team, tabla wabla ye wo. And he sang all the songs to Shammi uncle in the drawing room downstairs. And apparently Shammi uncle, you know, on hearing each song was getting so excited that he got up and started dancing, you know, while the music session was going on. And you know, so that was like a test for Pancham uncle. Okay, once Shammi uncle is in the film, if Shammi uncle really hates the songs, then there'll be a, you know, there might be a rethink of who will compose or whatever. But yeah, so that was the beginning of Pancham uncle's career, and that's the only incident. It was his fifth film.
Fifth film. Correct.
Yeah.
And can I just, while you're passing the mic around, can I just add also to the point that I
became nervous about the tragic end. I have to say that the way the story came about was because this was a conversation that I had with him. Was that we were thinking of a story that was a tragic ending.
Right.
So
Like a Romeo and Juliet.
it was
A classic.
Exactly. So we started out from that
Right.
point.
I also think that, I may be talking nonsense, but the people who worked with O.P. Nayyar moved on to R.D. Burman.
Correct.
There's a connection there
Yeah,
in
absolutely,
terms
yeah.
of the youthful
Absolutely.
tunes.
The beat.
And a lot of foreign world music. Yes, there's a lady here. Just 1 minute, 1 second, we'll come to
The title having multiple meanings, like this is the first time I've seen Teesri Manzil, but all his other movies. So Teesri Manzil, he explains, is the third step of love. It's also the third floor from which the girl jumps.
Yes.
Even Agatha Christie's books, the titles are referenced within the books. And they have multiple meanings. They not only mean like what's going to happen, but also how the person is feeling.
Yes, he did. He did read popular books. Yeah, he did.
There was a question over here. There's a gentleman with a beret. Is everybody here at the back?
What are the things that I've learned from Shashank? Some important things while I was assistant. You know, I think one of the things that I remember him saying, in fact, he and Abbajan would both say that, and that's probably my biggest lesson. Is that whenever someone came to pitch a story to them, or a script to them, at the end of the narration, they would tell the writer or director, tell me your story in one line. एक लाइन में अपनी कहानी बताइए क्या है अगर आप एक लाइन में नहीं बता सकते तो गड़बड़ है what he was actually saying which today you know if you read books on screenplay writing he was asking what is the premise of your film which comes in one line so that's one big take home for me and I think the other is I remember him saying once कि you know actor को scene समझ के करना चाहिए you need to understand इसका वजन क्या है what is the scene trying to say So actually there are many things that I picked up, you know, all along because I spent 4 years with him, and I was with him during the shoot, during post-production, during the edit, right through. And for the music sessions also. Yeah.
तीसरी मंजिल का कोई पर्टिकुलर गाना जो आपके बेहद करीब हो?
सारे गाने बहुत ही कमाल के हैं, लेकिन एक इंसिडेंट मैं आपको बोलता हूँ. I don't know how many people know that song. तुमने मुझे देखा, वो जो गाना है ना. That time, Shammi uncle went through a tragedy because he lost Geeta ji at that time. And that set was up in Mehboob. And I remember Shashank saying that when Shammi uncle lost Geeta ji, he was distraught. He was like really sad and he was really distraught. And, of course, they didn't shoot and Shashank told Shammi uncle that whenever you want to shoot, you let me. And I think a few months later, Shammi uncle called him up and said that okay, let's continue the shoot. And Shashank had not broken on the set, he had kept it standing, you know. And the song that you see in the film is the first thing that Shammi uncle shot for. The first shooting that Shammi uncle did after Geeta ji passed away was that song. तुमने मुझे देखा होकर मेहरबान.
He had a very sad expression. It comes across, I think.
Yeah, so
And
that
there
was the first thing he shot for after she had passed away.
There's a gentleman here, and then anybody else, can you put your hands up so I can identify you? Where?
Right at the back.
All right, right at the back. Okay. Okay, so after we come to you. I think you could just ask, we will repeat.
Well, I don't think there was any reason because he and they were both very fond of each other because whenever I was with Cheshire and we would bump into Goldie Uncle, I think they just, in films what happens is that you have to realize that we are like gypsies. We do a film together, and when we're doing the film, the whole team that's working together, the actors, the crew, we are living out of each other's pockets. You meet a person and within 3 days you're like telling him your heartbreak story and all of that. So we get used to a life where you take very little time to come close to a person. And then 6 months later or 1 year later, we pick up our tents and go on somewhere else. I move on to some other film, my other actors move on to some other film. Then we meet after 5 years, 10 years. Why are we not working together again? Hota hai, chance hota hai, nahi hota hai. So I think both Goldie Uncle and Nasir Saab had great fondness for each other and they had high respect and regard for each other. I think what Shahjahan wrote in Teesri Manzil, Goldie Uncle brought out beautifully. I mean, the song picturizations in Teesri Manzil are outstanding. So there's no real reason why they didn't work together. I think Goldie Uncle was doing his own thing.
The same could actually, in fact, this was a question I asked them that, we could ask the same question of why.
Incident of that, which is to do with writing, because Salim Javed came to Shahjahan one day and said, Shahjahan, हम लोगों को अपना नासा भी प्रॉब्लम है, हम एक और फिल्म लिख रहे हैं जिसकी कहानी सेम है. तो he said, कौन सी कहानी, कौन सी फिल्म है वो? He said कि वो फिल्म का नाम है जंजीर, प्रकाश मेहरा जी बना रहे हैं, और जंजीर जो है उसकी कहानी और यादों की बारात की कहानी आइडेंटिकल है. इट्स अ रिवेंज स्टोरी. तो शहजाद ने कहा आप सुनाइए क्या कहानी है. तो they had obviously written Zanjeer and they narrated the script of Zanjeer to Nasir Saab. So this is what he had told me. So he said कि I heard the script and I said कि आप बिल्कुल बेफिक्र रहिए, ये दो टोटली अलग फिल्म है. क्योंकि मैं जो फिल्म बना रहा हूँ वो उसमें म्यूजिक will play such an important part. And he was so right. If you look at Zanjeer today and you look at Yadon Ki Barat, they're totally, there's no similarity that you can see between the two. When the story is the same, story वही है कि वो अपना बदला देता है.
And he balances that world. So the point is that the Dharmendra character is like the Amitabh Bachchan character in Zanjeer, which is why Dharamji doesn't have one.
How do the brothers come back?
Through
it's a song.
Through song.
Yadon Ki Barat. They remember that song. Yeah. So music plays such an integral part of his
and
story.
you might also say that again this lionizing.
The Zanjeer में उसको वो घोड़ा दिखता है वो horse, but इसमें it's the song that brings them back. So it's
I have to just say a little aside. I don't know who found.
जाएंगे or a lot of Shah Rukh's films actually where he's played the romantic lead is very much in that zone of that hero who's very charming and you fall in love with him.
Because as Aditya Chopra said, he was very influenced. He thought that the hero of you were the hero for Mansoor in Qayamat Se, and Shah Rukh was his hero, and Prem was the hero of Suraj. And these three heroes, again he talks about his influences from obviously Raj Kapoor and Nasir Saab. Do you, just because he worked with such a fabulous team, do you think that it was a given that he'd always work with the same lyricist, for example?
Shahjahan? Yeah, Shahjahan always worked with Majrooh Sahab. He always worked with, mostly with Pancham Uncle from the time that he started working with Pancham Uncle. His DOP, Munir Khan Sahab, was consistently working with him. In the early times, he used other DOPs, but once Munir Khan came in, he was working consistently with him. His sound recordist was Manna Day? Manna Ladia, sorry. Manna Ladia was a sound recordist, and that was, in every film Manna Ladia ji was there.
Choreographer.
Suresh Bhatt, choreographer.
P.L. Raj?
No. So he did do the earlier films, but once he, for example, so all these people, once they came into his life, Suresh Bhatt, that was a team that consistently worked together to make films.
Yeah, and I think it's also that it's not just Nasir Saab declining in the 80s, it's also that team around him which is, going through a creative decline, which is why, suddenly some of the sets, there's this song, Hey Baba, I think in Manzil Manzil, I think, that, you look at that set, you cannot identify that with some of the sets he puts up in Yadon Ki Barat or Tisri Manzil. There is a creative decline even in the energies of the people working with him.
Yeah, but I also feel that he really missed Shammi Uncle and Rishi Ji. See, because he wrote films in a particular style. So if you look at Manzil Manzil, if you look at the script, Sunny is in the film, and Sunny is a great star. He's a wonderful actor, but that's not his kind of cinema. That film needed a Shammi Kapoor, it needed a Rishi Kapoor to bring it to life. Sunny is more appropriate for Arjun and films like that where we love watching him.
More action heroes.
Yeah. And more brooding, and that's his quality. But Chechan had actually written it for that same character he used to write. So I think that he also was on some level was missing. Actually the best. It's ironical that the actors who worked best in his hero were all Kapoors. So there was Shammi Kapoor, there was Shashi Kapoor, and Rishi Kapoor. They best brought out, and in all of those, I think Shammi Uncle was the one who really brought out his characters to the full.
Absolutely alter ego.
Yeah.
Is there any other question? Yes, there's a lady here.
Oh, sorry, I'm being greedy.
Oh, you're being greedy, are you? Is there anybody else before her? There's a lady over there with her hand up. I'm sorry to play the headmistress, but I think everybody should get a chance.
This is a question for Mansoor. What do you think Nasir uncle would think?
Anybody else? Any more questions? Let's have some new hands up. There's a gentleman over there. Question on Nasir Saab, please.
It better be short this time.
Yeah, it's just one line. It's just simple that for the writer also, it's for Amir and my writer, that in the race of life, like method and madness, which wins and which is more applicable while writing the book. You have written the book, so you have lived some characters in that. So what's applicable for the youth to practice, method or madness?
It's for you, and you go first. Method is for you, madness is for me.
I actually didn't get the question clearly.
मतलब क्या करना चाहिए? Should the youth follow method or should they follow madness?
I think it's best left if you.
My question is this.
Like question मैं समझ गया, मैं अभी answer देता. You have to have madness. I think no matter what field of profession or whatever path of life you've chosen, you need a certain amount of थोड़ी बहुत madness चाहिए, to really excel in what you're doing and to break new paths and you also need a method to be able to give it some structure. So you need a bit of both, I would imagine.
I would imagine that complete madness is a problem.
Yeah.
So you have to have a structure with it. Otherwise, it's like intelligence. It has to be applied. Anybody? Yes, there's a lady.
I wanted to ask one thing which I think everyone has missed here. नासिर साहब की मूवीज में मोहम्मद रफ़ी साहब के गानों का कितना योगदान है? क्योंकि पापा मेरे देखते थे मूवीज, मैं झेल नहीं पाता था बचपन में. मुझे मोहम्मद रफ़ी साहब सिंगिंग के गॉड लगते हैं बचपन से. तो उनके सारे गाने, और उन्होंने कमबैक भी किया था, हम किसी से कम नहीं में. आई थिंक क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, जब इंडस्ट्री ने उन्हें राइट ऑफ कर दिया, उसके बाद मोहम्मद रफ़ी साहब ने वापस स्ट्रांगली कमबैक किया इसमें. तो क्या ये उसके लिए नासिर साहब ने उन्हें पुश किया था इसके लिए कि उसके बारे में आप थोड़ा प्रकाश डालेंगे?
Well, I to be very honest with you, I did think about this because I know that
after that.
No, we all
scene that you written. So the other opening scene I remember for Raj that you had written was, which again Jan bounced, was Kamra hai, he's sitting in his room and he's working on, there's a table lamp, after time he's working on something, and suddenly we see this snake, it emerges from behind the sofa. And it starts moving slowly towards. You remember this? It starts, yeah, you wrote this. It slowly starts moving towards the character of Raj. And Raj he's totally unaware that एक snake है जो मेरे तरफ आ रहा है. And the snake climbs up on the chair that he's sitting on, and it comes right over here next to him. And when it comes right over here, Raj जो भी वो कुछ कर रहा है, कुछ draw कर रहा है and all that, and he pats the snake and he continues doing what he's doing. So then you realize that it's his pet snake, and he's a person who loves animals. And he's got a special bond with animals. So which is why when they're lost in the jungle, we also thought of things. Ki wo, you know, Rashmi's character is freaking out, but this guy, he knows animals, so he, you know, but then that also got bounced for some reason.
But I think it's very interesting because you're talking about method and madness, and we have to remember that Nusrat is a psychotherapist. So that is also a very interesting little change in the whole scenario.
Yeah. We try and keep away from her. Otherwise she comes to know too much about us.
Speaking about
Hamare gestures
method
se
and madness.
Now, shall we have one last question?
Now we have a lot of people writing books about popular cinema today. So when you read these books, or when people in the industry read these books, and they are obviously deeply researched books, there's a lot of analysis that goes into them, but they may not necessarily be what the filmmakers had in mind when the movie's reality is like that. So I just wondered what you felt when you read this particular book, and also
In world cinema, and they always say, like a man like Truffaut. Many of you must have seen Truffaut's films. He had his alter ego was a young actor called Jean-Pierre Léaud. And in a funny way, I think Shami Kapoor became the alter ego of Nasir Saab.
I think
Would you agree?
the one actor who really brought Shashan's writing to bloom fully.
He could render it the
Yeah.
way,
And
Shami uncle really,
he rendered
you know,
it the way my dad would have imagined it.
And I just want to add again here to what you said, Fir Wahi Dil Laya. So basically, that passing of the baton.
And also we must say that how influenced Nasir Saab was with Elvis Presley.
And
What about Nusrat? Do you feel that he was influenced?
Yes, definitely. Not just Elvis Presley, the Beatles, all of these, the early
music stars.
The 60s, most definitely. And I think, again, the physicality of Elvis Presley was quite different from all the other stars, the music stars of the time. And I'm wondering if anybody else sees a link between that and...
I think
And Chami uncle. I think Elvis Presley was copying Chami uncle. कहीं देखा होगा उसने, चुप सा नहीं देखा, हाँ इसको कॉपी करता हूँ.
No, I had asked Shami Kapoor something interesting, and you could see it from Tum Sa Nahi Dekha. I said that when he was in a song sequence, it was very fascinating to me where the cuts took place in a song. So he said to me, because it was very simple, because when I knew they should cut on the beat, I would jump out of the frame. I wasn't there. So therefore they had to cut. So I thought this was brilliant. And if you see his shots, he's kind of flopping out, a little bit like I did the act with my chair, you know, and he disappears. So unbelievable, that confidence of the edit. And he's always said, Shami Kapoor has always said that he was not a good dancer. But
That's not true.
You know, I mean, I spent a lot of time with Shami uncle. And he, you know, when I got to know him properly and you know, was spending a lot of time with him, by then he was a very loving, warm, you know, person. But he told me that, you know, in my youth I was really bratish. And, मतलब अभी जो आज के brats हैं, he would put them to shame. That's how bratish he was. And he's told me a lot of stories which I'm not going to repeat over here. But, so I can imagine him, you know, I mean, the combination of him at his, you know, peak of brattiness with Shashank and the two of them, you know, working together.
Yeah, you know, I just want to say something about that, you know, because we're talking so much about Shami uncle and dad. I think that a lot of what my dad was as a character inside, but which he wrote, but he didn't do himself physically. I think that he saw that Shami uncle had that. So, for instance, not every evening, quite often when Shami uncle came over home, I remember in the evenings, and this used to be very late, and I used to be very small and wanting to go to sleep, but too excited to go to sleep because all the grown-ups are there and playing all this exciting music. I don't know if you remember this, but Dad would put the music on, but he wouldn't dance. Shami uncle was the one who was dancing. And this would be in that little bedroom of ours, parents' bedroom, because just next door is my dad's mum and aunts and all of that, and couldn't make too much noise also.
But I think you've forgotten one night when...
Say he was an introvert or extrovert?
He was an extrovert.
He was an extrovert.
He would hold...
Very charming. He had, he had very intense eyes, and he was a very winning personality. And very funny. He was very, very funny.
We talked a lot about Mansoor's work and, of course, Amir's
duty.
So Nusrat, Mansoor, me and Shahjahan, the four of us worked on that script. And so Nusrat was involved in the writing of a number of scripts, including Rakh, by the way. Yeah. Ask your about it.
Who's laughing? Okay.
But
I know the inside joke.
So, yeah, but that was just a little bit.
He was being directed by Shahjahan. And Mansoor was writing Jo Jeeta at that time, as his first film. So then at one point when the script was complete, Shahjahan fell ill and he had to go through an operation and all, bypass. So he was not in a position to direct the film. He couldn't take the strain of directing a film so quickly after the operation. So he told Mansoor कि भाई तुम अपने स्क्रिप्ट के साथ स्ट्रगल कर रहे हो, ये हमारी रेडी है, तुम सुन लो, अगर अच्छी लगे तो तुम ये बना लो पहले. So Mansoor said okay, he heard the script and he said yeah, I like it and I want to do it. But I might need a few changes in the script. And then began a writing, part where they were correcting the rewriting part, in which the few things that Mansoor wanted to change was actually 80% of the whole script. So while the story remained the same, but and I remember that when Mansoor was not the director and Nusrat and I was working with Shahjahan, Nusrat and I would keep fighting with him about about the way that because we were coming from a different generation and we were thinking differently, and we kept fighting with him, but he was a director. So ultimately Nusrat and I used to give in. Okay, now he's not listening to us and he obviously knows what he wants and he's a director, so we would write as per his requirement and guidance. When Mansoor came in, we were like, yes, suddenly so the three of us used to be against him. So Shahjahan used to be, तुम लोग इतनी बड़ी गलती कर रहे हो, तुमको पता नहीं तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो, पागल हो गए तुम लोग. So he used to get really upset with us, but then he would, he went along because now he also realized that now the director is Mansoor and we have to all work towards Mansoor's requirement.
But his guidance, at that time when we would argue, I had vague ideas in my mind, like this scene.
Nafrat ke Waris.
Nafrat ke Waris. Which basically...
Original title was Nafrat ke Waris.
Which was basically an offshoot from this dialogue where, Amir in Qayamat se Qayamat tak, he goes to Randhir Singh and he says, मैं और रश्मि आप दोनों के नफरत के वारिस बनने को तैयार नहीं हैं. And so, as Mansoor said that, we were thinking very literally.
So, in my dad's mind,
But once you had
Actually, you know what? Now I'm remembering slightly. I remember that in English we used to say that titles for this film should be something like, see, Nafrat Ke Waris. I used to always feel कि यार बहुत ही गाना type का है, Nafrat Ke Waris and all. It sounds very strange, too obvious. So one of the titles, if you remember, we used to discuss was From Here to Eternity. इसमें ऐसा कुछ feel होना चाहिए, From Here to Eternity. And that is when Shahjahan said Qayamat se Qayamat tak.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. The duck
and
from here
and
to here.
Just on the other hand, like Mansoor told me this, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, which is Nasir Saab produced and essentially wrote the dialogues for that film. Mansoor used to give Nasir Saab a lot of the dialogue, the winner takes it all, and so beautifully he translates that into Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
And I had one conversation when
the song was written, it was recorded, and it turned out rather well. So we were sitting at Lime at that time, I think, and Bachchu Saab telling me कि बेटा देखो गाना तो बड़ा अच्छा है, अब तुम्हारे ऊपर है तुम कैसे करो. I was like, that's a nice way of putting it. No pressure बेटा, super hit गाना है अब तुमको करना है.
And in terms of when you went from being an assistant, Nasir Saab was clear he wanted to launch you as an actor.
No, he wasn't clear actually.
He wasn't. Tell us.
See, what happened is that for me, when I wanted to be an actor, I was very conscious about one thing, that I never wanted Nasir Saab or Shahjahan or Abbajan to ever feel you know, now it is our responsibility to launch Amir. I didn't want them to ever feel that. I didn't want to be a, burden on them. So I knew by that time I wanted to act, and I was doing my own thing. I used to go to FTII, I used to do diploma films over there. I was doing theatre. I did a film called Holy, which Ketan had directed at the Film Institute. So I was doing my own thing, but I never ever, even by mistake, I used to not mention to Chacharan or to Abbajan about me wanting to act, and because I didn't want to even go close to that. So two things happened, and coincidentally, both these things happened with a very famous couple of today. What happened is I did a short film called Paranoia, which Aditya Bhattacharya had made. This is much before I'm talking of when I had passed out of school, 10th, and just before the first year college began, in the holidays, I shot for this film called Paranoia, which was a 40-minute short film, entirely silent, meaning no dialogue, no music, nothing, not even a pen ka sound. So he had made that film, and he made it as an experiment to learn about cinema, and he wanted to learn filmmaking. And so he asked me, I was in school with him, I was his classmate. So he said, "Okay, will you act in it?" And I said, "Okay." He said, I need your help. I need the boy is something like you. Can I? So I said, "Okay." So I was the actor on the film. I was also the production manager and the assistant director and the spot boy and everything. So basically, I was helping Aditya. And the experience of doing that film actually got me interested in filmmaking. Until then, I wasn't. But I'm saying something else now. So the film got complete, and he wanted to show it, so he called Shabana ji to Dimple Theatre. And Shabana ji was the only person sitting at the theatre and watching the film. It was a silent film, and it was pretty, difficult to fathom what Aditya was trying to say. Usually it's difficult to fathom what he's trying to say. So the film khatam hui, and Shabana ji is a very, outspoken person. So Aditya's mother, Rinki auntie, was next to her, and Aditya was sitting behind them, and I was sitting right at the back with my sister Nikhat was there. Now mind you, nobody in my house knows I've gone to shoot for this film. Because my dad will just kill me if he comes to know, okay, I'm shooting karne ja raha hai. I didn't even tell Ammi. So I used to pretend I'm going for a hockey match early morning. Ammi hamari hockey match hai. Main hockey stick leke jata tha, actually shooting pe jata tha. So khair, Shabana ji was watching the film, and she saw the film. She got up and said, "I didn't understand the film, but who's that boy?" So Rinki auntie said, "Oh, piche baitha hai, Tahir ka beta." So she said, "Where?" And she turned around, and I got up. I said, "Hello, man." So Rinki auntie said, "This is Tahir Saab's son." Now Shabana ji was working with my father at that time in a film called Khoon Ki Pukar. The shooting was going on. She said, "Hey, you're Tahir Saab's son. I must tell him you're a fantastic actor." I said, "No, you can't tell him that. You can't tell him that. He'll kill me." So she said, "Why?" I said, "No, you can't tell him that." So she said, "But you're a fantastic actor. You should be acting." So I was so thrilled because I really look up to Shabana ji as an actress, and when she said that, I was like, wow, I felt so good that someone who I respect so much as an actor is telling me that she's like, "You're really amazing, and you have no idea how well you've done, and you really should act." I was like, okay. And then I joined Chacharan as a AD, and I remember it was towards the end of the shooting of Zabardast, and we were in Faryaz Hotel, we were shooting there in Khandala, Lonavala. And Javed Saab had come to work on Mr. India script. And he was also working on the script of Arjun. So Shekhar was there, Javed Saab was there, Rahul Ravel were there. And I was sitting in Nasir Saab's room doing some paperwork. And Javed Saab walked in to say hi to Nasir Saab. So they were meeting after a long time. They, were exchanging, whatever. And they were talking and catching up after a long time. And then finally, after about half an hour, Javed Saab asked Chacharan, "Wo kaun beta hai? Who's that boy over there?" I was sitting near the window. So he said, "Ye Tahir ka beta hai." So he says, "Ye kya kar raha hai aapke saath?" He said, "Wo mera assistant hai." So Javed Saab said, "Ye aapka assistant kyun hai? Isko to aapka star hona chahiye." मेरे कान खड़े थे, सब सुन रहा था मैं दूर से कि क्या बातें हो रही हैं. And it's quite ironical that both Shabana and Javed Saab, who are together today, individually noticed me at separate places and said the same thing. Even after that, I never had the courage to tell my uncle or my father कि यार अब Javed Saab कह रहे हैं हम star material, तो I just completely ignored it. I didn't even want to bring it up. I was so frightened that, he would feel, कि अरे यार, I didn't ever want Chacharan to feel, कि, Amir expects me to make a film for him. Now I'll have to, I didn't want that. मेरे को वो नहीं चाहिए था. So one day, I was with Chacharan and I used to be with him all the time. So we met someone he was meeting after many years. And he said, hello, how are you? This, that, they were catching up. And then he said, Amir, meet so-and-so, he's an old friend of mine. And he said, so-and-so, meet, this is my nephew Amir and he's the star of my next film. And I was like, whoa, that's how I came to know that I'm going to be acting in his next film. And then a few days later, he called me and said, okay, listen, I think I want to make a film with you. It's going to be a love story and all of that. So, yeah.
And no specific advice about acting?
No. So I'm saying, all along, I always thought Chacharan does not want me to be an actor. And it's actually he and Mansoor saw Holi at some point, if you remember. And I think at some point after that they felt maybe, yeah.
And Nusrat, what do you think your father would have felt, both of you, about a book being written about him?
That's a very interesting question. Because, my dad was very used to not getting awards.
As a producer for Sahibi Bi Ghulam.
And Pyasa?
And it was Mehboob Sahib that year. Mother India was the same year.
India.
So awards basically mean nothing. That's what we can say. It doesn't have anything to do with enduring classics, and it's time that.
I didn't say that.
I think he'd be surprised about this book.
I think he would be shy.
He'd be shy about
I
it.
think he would be shy. He'd be like, nahi, kya kitab kya hai? So, people will watch my film if they want to. He would be. I think he would be shy.
You think you would read it?
I don't think so.
No chance. No chance. He would never read it.
How interesting. And just one last question before I ask. I would like to ask one question to Imran, who is here. But before that, I want to know: did you all speak in Urdu at home, or how did you converse?
Both Urdu and English, both.
It depended on what the subject was.
And how was his English?
It really depended.
No, his English was good. His English was good. His Urdu was better, of course. But he was most comfortable in English.
And Mansoor, you're defining the subject. Can you give us some more information?
I want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to tell you, but there were certain very colloquial things which you can only say in,
Urdu.
Yeah, so we were just used to that.
I have to tell you a funny little thing. It was what Nusrat told me. I had gone to interview Mansoor about his work with Majrooh Sahib one day, and I said to Nusrat, he's... So
We try and keep all our secrets hidden from Mansoor.
I would like to first... where is Imran? Is he here? Where is he? Imran, can he get a microphone, please? And it'll be very kind if you could stand up so everyone can see you. Imran, you grew up... Obviously, you are his grandson. What do you remember? Because there's always a wonderful relationship with the grandfather. And was he curious about your youth? Because he was so youthful in himself.
Strangely, I never really saw my grandfather as a filmmaker. To me, he was Nana. He loved telling stories. This is actually my most enduring memory of him. That every evening, and every single evening from the time I was maybe 3 years old, I remember he would tell me a new story, and he would make it up as he went along. Generally, I was the star of the stories. So Imran would go here and do this and then that, and everything. He would weave in bits of adventure stories, science fiction, just all sorts of stuff. And that continued. He passed away when I was 19. And I remember even up till that point, generally in the evenings that I would try and spend a little bit of time with him, go and sit down. And it was always about chatting. It was always, that was our relationship. To me, I never saw him as a filmmaker until much, much later when I started watching his films. He was just...
And did he want you to be an actor?
Nobody in the family wanted me to work in films. I think that's how we've always done it. Every generation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give him... Now we've got about 20-25 minutes and we need to take some questions. Now, first of all, I'd like to say something. can we absolutely shock the panelist and stick with the subject? Nasir Saab.
National Film Archives of India, and besides that, I mean, I saw
big music director. He was probably just starting off. So how did this collaboration or how did this relationship?
I don't know if everyone can hear.
आइए सर, आइए साथ में आइए, साथ में आइए, इधर इधर सर।
Okay, thank you.
या सेल्फी साइड करो। बोल सर हटाओ। अरे अनुश्री का चवा बाहर ही रहना, अंदर से बाहर नहीं आने। यार सेल्फी। या इमरान भाई एक सोलो। इमरान भाई पीछे से क्लियर करो। इमरान भाई, हाँ इमरान भाई इधर देखो। थैंक यू। रीना मैम प्लीज आइए मैम साथ में या मैडम थैंक यू या लोग सेंड हो
चलो एक्सक्यूज अस
आलोक भाई आ जाओ।
पहले मुझे साइन कराना है।
साइन ले बुक अभी बुक आप दे दीजिए। आपने आप थोड़ा साइन बस बुक साइन कर दीजिए। वन अमीर सर, अरे यार अमीर सर एक साथ में सर
पीछे प्लीज। अमीर सर एक मिनट। आप ईशा सिक्योरिटी
सर एक मम्मी
अरे पीछे रहो यार। अमीर सर प्लीज।
आराम से सर। आप सर थोड़ा सा झुको। अमीर सर
Okay.